sink them, and that's just not reality. Here's what happens. Just like when you're 3 years old or 4 years old and you're old enough to touch the stove, you only got to touch stuff once, and you only got to touch it for a very short amount of time to know that it's not right. And so sometimes when you make these decisions, you will know immediately that they were the wrong decisions. You'll be able to retract, adjust course, and then move forward. All right? But you cannot paralyze yourself overvaluing your current situation and undervaluing what your life could actually look like. Because if you do that, guys, what's actually going to happen is when you're 10, 15 years down the road, if you decided that it wasn't worth going after, you're going to look around and you're going to say, well, fuck, what would my life look like if I actually had went after that? And then that's going to cause regret. That's going to cause what if. It's going to cause uncertainty. And what it's eventually going to cause is frustration, unhappiness, and lack of fulfillment in your life. You're going to feel like you wasted shit. So whatever it is that is in your heart, whatever it is that's in your mind that you're saying, dude, I could do this. I know I can fucking do this. I know I can do this, but I'm not sure if I want to put in the time, or I'm not sure if it's going to be worth the effort, or I'm not sure if I can actually finish this thing. And you start having all these, dude, you got to push that shit out of your mind. And you have to remember that the only way mountains are fucking climbed is 1 foot at a time. And if you're not moving in the right direction.
You guys can listen to the rest of that. That's episode 114, How Winners Think About Risk. Real as fuck with Andy Frisella. So a couple things that I just taken out of that 30 seconds a minute. Overvaluing your current situation. We can maybe we'll just go on these points. We'll talk about them from there. Knowing it doesn't take long before you know if something's right or wrong. Like you have that feel for it. And just listening to things, like watching successful people and how they think, act, and carry themselves and the steps that they took to get to where they are. I think, going off of that, I guess we'll start with, that's what following people like Andy has made my decision so much easier. Because, you know what I'm getting at? Like, if I didn't have that mindset from watching other people and listening to other people who have succeeded by basically going through the same process that I have, like leaving their current situation behind, it can be comfortable at that time, but then you have to get into that uncomfortable position by leaving that comfort zone. And I think it is just so much easier to do because I've studied people like that, and like it led me to where I am now, and I'm like, I don't think I would have made the steps that I've made the past week if I didn't really like believe in those people. And like, it's not just him, it's like there's just a track record of people that we follow that have done something similar.
Yeah. It's kind of, you get that not validation, but you get that like comfort in knowing that it's worked for other people. You're not just like...
Yeah, you're crazy because you're going against the norms, but that's the shit you have to do to get to like where like I want to be. Or like,
yeah, but I think ultimately deep down you know.
Yeah, so then going on to that point, going back onto that point too, like you know right away if this is something you got to do, or but there's so many people that overvalue the current situation they're in, thinking that they have it so good because of the health care, the benefits, the paycheck, whatever it is, but they're not truly happy doing what they're doing. I've ran into so many people in the last 3 years that show up every day and hate coming to work. They hate it. Mm-hmm. I have noticed just in this 1 week, like, one, I'm not around people like that. They're not negative towards it. They enjoy what they're doing. That makes it easier on me. Want the positivity, the fact that they like doing what they're doing. So then they want to teach it. Well, then I want to learn the stuff. So they're more likely to show you and like take the time to help you. Didn't really like once in a while had that where I was working, but it wasn't often. Like, and I'm grateful for the people that actually do that. So if you're in a situation where you're working with you get a younger guy or somebody that has no idea what's going on, take that time to just help them learn what's going on, understand the process better, because I think you're going to start enjoying the work that you're doing a little bit more too, and you're going to be helping them not only do better at their job, but it makes it easier for them to come to work and the environment, and it's just so much better for all of you.
Yeah, like I think we've talked about it. I know like Andy and Seth and all them guys talk about it, how just that negative mindset and being negative, it's so cancerous to like not only yourself but everybody else around you. You know what I mean?
So shitty, like, dude. It's literally a mindset shift. Like, I saw today a quote. 90% of the problems you have in life, it's literally your mindset towards things.
Yeah.
I don't know how many times we have to say that, or like tell our friends that, or just people you run into.
I gotta tell myself that.
Yeah, I know you have to. I have to tell myself that every single day. But it's like you have to believe that. And once you start to believe that, that's when you start seeing changes. Like you've noticed that in the last 90 days, just from yourself. You just change the way you're thinking about things. Your family starts to see it. Your friends start to see it. Your coworkers are going to see it. Hey, man, like, what are you doing? Like, you're just telling me one of our friends or whatever was coming up to you and telling you how much they enjoy listening to the podcast because they know they need some sort of changes in their life.
Yeah.
And we said that from the beginning. All we want to do is just help one person at a time. And
well, ultimately, I started this to help myself.
Okay,
Then it kind of was like, well, if I can help myself, I'm sure somebody can get something from it.
Exactly. And that is huge because I've noticed that. That's also another point that I'd like to bring up. By us, buddy, go lay down. By us doing this, it holds ourselves. We hold each other accountable. We hold ourselves accountable for it, and that's to show up and try to do an episode every week. But the stuff we talk about, we do. We put it into practice. We're not just talking about it, and I think that is a huge thing that people may have seen in the last couple of years from us, or like we always have talked about we've always talked about wanting to do this, or like, oh man, we should really do that, or just like simple little things, but then it's just a thought. Like we never put it into practice. So, an example, we just had a friend over not too long ago here, and I hope they do this. He said he wants to start listening to our podcast, and I hope he does, and I hope he finds enjoyment in it. But he said they wanted to start live streaming on Twitch when they're playing Rocket League, right?
Yeah, Rocket League.
And me and Jay both said, do it. Like we didn't even think of, just do it. Like,
yeah.
Those are one of those things where you talk about, you're like, oh, it'd be cool if we did it. Or like, it's literally for your enjoyment. It's like you're going to be there playing anyways. Just take that extra step and do that. Like other people are going to find interest in that. Like it's weird. Like if you think that you're the only one that has this common interest in something with a buddy, like there are so many other people out there that want to do the same thing you're doing, or like they're like, look, like they're doing it too. Like we should have been doing this years ago. Like we talked about this 2 years ago. Mm-hmm. We talked about doing a podcast for years, and then HWMF comes out with a podcast. 2 fucking dudes, like just jagaloon guys, like they just bullshit all the time. But like their whole principles are work hard at everything you do, be a good person, be good to the people around you, and just keep pushing yourself every day. That's the same shit that we wanted to talk about years ago, and it finally took like to see them do it and like listen to their background where they're just 2 average dudes. They're like, let's start a podcast. Well, like that was it. Like,
yeah,
that's all we needed.
Their whole business started like that.
Literally, they blew up their business from doing the podcast. They already had the business going and stuff. But yeah, I get exactly what you're saying. How they started the business by like, dude, let's just get together, and that's what you mean, right?
Yeah.
It's something that simple. Like, if you just start recording, doing a couple episodes a month or whatever, one little by little, how people will just start catching on to it and like enjoying it. You don't know what's going to happen. Like, it's a snowball effect. It really is. It could take years, but it's a snowball effect. You just have to hold each other accountable. If it's something you really care about, go after it and do it. Who gives a shit what anybody has to say? Our first episodes absolutely sucked ass. We were using a phone to record. Like, It was just stupid. We look at it, we're like, even when we had the mic set up, we couldn't figure it out. It just sucked ass. But we didn't stop. You just keep on trying it.
I wouldn't say we're there yet.
No, we're not,
but closer.
But like we said before, one person at a time, dude. And we're already getting that feedback, and it's so much easier to come out and record the next one because it's just one person with some sort of positive feedback. Even if we get negative feedback, that's even we know we have more room to grow, but we know that person listened to it, and it's like, all right, like we know somebody out there that is listening to it. Negative or positive, you just gotta.
Yeah, I'm all about making it better.
Oh, absolutely. So if anybody has any like we said before, like any recommendations on what you want to hear, who you want us to like bring on, like
if you want to come on,
if you want to, if you have an interest where you're like, oh, nobody does this, or like, even if you have a common interest that you just love to talk about, whether it's sports, basketball, golfing, weightlifting, like playing Yu-Gi-Oh, Pokemon, anything, like.
Yeah.
If you were into Pokemon Go a couple years ago and you were just die hard, come on here and share it for 20 minutes. Like, we want to hear that shit. Who knows something weird that you did that just were weird to you or weird to us that led you down to it, like where you are now. Like, we want to hear it.
Yeah, hearing about people's passions is pretty cool.
I was just telling one of the guys from work, Jake, he was on one of our episodes a while back, and I'm like, that's like one of my new things, dude. I noticed in like the last 2 years, I love running into people and just asking them like questions that make them a little uncomfortable, but once they kind of like feel you out a little bit, where you're not there to attack them, you're genuinely interested in what they have to say. It's like you can see like the switch light in them where like they just kind of glow a little bit, and they're like, oh yeah, and they just. Like, I ran into one guy, I don't remember what we were doing. We were down in Milwaukee for something, and I'm like, what do you do? He started talking about work or whatever, just kind of, like, breaking the ice with them. And then I'm like, what's your real passion, And he, like, all of a sudden, he, like, sat there and thought. He's like, my kids. And we talked about his kids for, like, 20 minutes. I didn't even know the guy. I just ran into him, and, like, he's, like, shaking my hand and, like, bro hugging me, like, when I laughed. And I'm like, yeah, man. Like, I just left, like, laughing and, like, smiling to myself because I'm like, I know that just, like, affected that guy positively where he's going to be like, I had a good time, Like,
yeah, you're like a social butterfly like that.
I love running into people. Like, it's like at times, like, I have, like, that switch, like when I'm at Anna's, like, family thing sometimes, I'm just kind of quiet. Like, sometimes I'll be talking the whole time, but, like, her aunt's like, have you ever done, like, a personality test and stuff? Because they had to do them for work. She was working in healthcare and stuff. And I'm like, yeah. And, like, I was telling her, like, because I went to school for psychology. Like, we did those, and we talked about them. Like, you analyze them and stuff. And, like, agreeable and, like, outgoing and all that. And, like, like, basically a social butterfly. And she's like, you don't really say much. And I'm like, yeah, well, once that switch is flipped, like,
then give me a couple drinks.
Yeah. Oh, then I'll really get going. Then I'll be talking nonstop.
Yeah. I'm the opposite. I don't know. I'm not.
Yeah, but you're like when you run into somebody that has like a common interest of yours, you're really good at. Really good at like vinyls or something like music.
Music, yeah.
Yeah, dude, you can really get into that with people, and like you can see that on them. Like, they're like feeding it back, and you're just going back with them, and I love that stuff.
Yeah, I guess down in Alabama when we were at that Floribama, dude, I was talking to this.
Did we talk about that ever?
I don't think so. Maybe. I don't know.
Go ahead.
Well, we were down in Alabama, and we went to this, and everything was still shut down. So there's like one bar, and it's Floribama, and it's right on the border of Florida and Alabama. So for one night, we're like, well, let's go out one night. And we go out to this bar, and they have like 5 stages of bands going on, and like it's packed, and like people are ripping darts at the stage, and like it was just just a party.
Yeah, it was awesome.
We all got like split up at first. Like you and Anna went, and then like John and Carly went. I went by myself. Like all of a sudden, I find this stage that's playing like 70s rock, and it's some cover band. And
just some older like guys in their 50s,
and they're killing it.
Yeah, they were. It was awesome.
They were absolutely killing it. And I'm talking to this older guy, and he's like, "Dude, you think these guys are good? You got to wait for this next band." He's like, "This guitarist." He's like, "If you play guitar, and you know anything at all about like music, like any sort of theory," he's like, "This dude, you got to see him." I'm like getting all excited. I'm like, all right. And sure fucking shit, this dude is like crazy good. And me and this, I forget the guy's name even, but he was like, "What are you doing over there?"
No,
but me and this dude were riffing back and forth about like music the whole night. But
yeah, I remember because like we were all like you were just to our left in front of us.
Oh yeah, I forgot that I was even there with anybody.
Yeah, I'm like, look at Jay to like Anna. I'm like, he is just in this. He is just locked in on the music with this guy. Like they're just like bobbing heads. Like yeah, like oh, I have a little clip actually. I'll see. I don't know really what it is. Might have to delete this out if there's some yelling, but you can just kind of hear like. And there was a guy on a saxophone, and
he had a trumpet.
And this girl just had these the trumpet. That's what it was. It was just a good vibe, and I highly suggest if you guys are interested in live music and you were in the area of Florida or Alabama on a vacation or just passing through, stop into that bar and just. I mean, there was stages all over the place. The thing was like built out of like deck boards. It looked like, and everywhere you went. Every single band was just playing covers for all these, like Jason Aldean, Luke Combs, and just country music, rock, like anywhere you went, different music, and everybody was killing it. It was so cool, and like everybody there, you could just tell was just into it, and like that was Jay's thing. Like he did not want to leave there that night, and I didn't want to leave. The vibe was just awesome,
yeah.
But. I
wasn't gonna leave
multiple times, just looking. Like I'd look out, Jay would be like 10 feet over from me, just locked in, like watching this guy rip. This guy on the guitar was like in his 20s, I think,
yeah,
and he was just ripping on the thing. Oh, and then the guy at the trumpet, like, oh man, I would go back and listen to that. That was just awesome.
Yeah, that dude and his wife. I wish I could remember their names, but like I was talking to the guy, and then. Turns out like his wife is like even more into like following this guy around. Like apparently this dude was like the guitarist was in some other band that they heard of, and then like got into this band and they were telling me the whole story, and like they were both super into it. So then once you get that backstory, then
you were really into it.
Yeah, because they took like an intermission that we were like talking about it all.
Yeah.
I wish that first band would have kept going.
I wish too. Like we got there a little bit at like what did we get? Maybe 20 minutes of them. If those guys were freaking I liked them. I liked the music they were playing better than like the jazz like rock that
they were
the
playing
next band
like
played, but
they were playing the first band was playing like Bad Company and like Sweet and
and they just it was like an older crowd around at the time too, like because it was earlier in the night still. But oh man,
yeah, the second band was more of like a like a jazz blues rock. Like,
Yeah.
they just like riffed off of each other.
Still
which
killed it, but
if you're not into like that kind of where it's like they're just doing their own thing, like jamming with each other, then that band probably wasn't for you. But
yeah. If
I'm
you
kind
don't
of into that.
Yeah,
so.
I know. I get what you're like. If you're looking for vocals and songs that you know, there were tons of bands there that you could go listen to.
Yeah.
But I think it was just something so different, and it was just we were just all locked in. Like everybody had a good time listening to them, and you didn't know this music they were playing, but they were playing music, and it was just good music.
And
like
you
said, just bouncing off each other, and they were so good. They just bonded so well.
Yeah, you're like, hey man, I think that we're getting going soon, or someone's like, we're getting going soon. I'm like, all right, well, you guys can go. I'll find my own way home.
Yeah. You were adamant.
I was like, I will. Like, I'm like, in my head, my plan was they'll leave. There's a big ass hotel right next door, and I'm like, I'll close this fucker down, walk, get a fucking room. I don't give a fuck.
Yeah.
And then you guys can just pick me up in the morning when someone's going to get coffee or something.
That is my regret, though. We left way too early from there, but
yeah,
they wanted to get going. And
yeah, I can respect that.
Yeah,
we were there for a while.
I loved it though. Like, and just seeing you into it, it made me just like it even more. I'm just like, I remember a few times I'm like, yeah, Jake, just yelling with you because
I was locked in.
It was awesome.
Yeah, I kind of felt bad because like you guys, like I said, we all went in there separate, and then we all like found each other.
Yeah.
And I didn't move from that stage. I'm like, you guys can, like, I'm
go
fine
wherever,
just standing here by myself, but I'm fucking leaving.
I ain't leaving. Yeah. That's what I should have done. Yeah.
The best one of that was with the whole election, and then it was like, it was from the movie, and it was like about Trump, where he's like, I'm fucking leaving. I was fucking dying.
The internet.
Yeah. What do you think's gonna finally break the internet? Like,
oh, there's so many things where people are like, the internet's broken, and then they like do the memes lately, or like the TikToks with Biden and just people saying, like, we got our like opinions on politics. We don't really dive into it too much here, not yet. We have a buddy, Brendan. He's gonna come on, and I'm sure
put our tinfoil hats on.
Yeah, we're gonna get into it on that episode, but just oh man, I can't wait for that one too. That's gonna be a good one. But we are definitely gonna offend some people there. Good. We don't care. We're sharing our opinions and views on things. But anyways, the frickin' TikToks with Joe Biden lately have just been, you get them from so many people too, and I'm like, where do you, and then all of a sudden like a little TikTok thing comes up at the end of the video. You're like, oh my Lord.
The best one lately was Kamala, where she's like, do not come. Then it was Trump's like, I'm going to come. He does that little like hand flip, like,
yeah. I think Joe Rogan had that on his story too. Oh my gosh.
And she's so serious, like, do not come. I'm gonna come. Just like,
you guys probably know exactly what we're talking about. That was trending for quite some time. Oh, that's great.
Did you hear about what just like there's some company like Amazon or something that like the internet like it went out. Did you hear about that?
I heard like
maybe it wasn't Amazon. There's like a bunch of big companies that like were shut down for like a little bit of time. Like,
you mean like Robinhood closing trading?
No.
We talked about that a little bit too.
Yeah, that was right when GameStop was blowing up.
Oh, that was Josh maybe.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, go check that episode out if you guys are interested in.
That one was probably one of our most popular ones.
Market news. Yeah, that did get a couple.
That one probably got 7 views.
Hey, we've been in the double digits.
I know. You told me that this morning, or not this morning, before we started recording.
Yeah. 1 by 1, man. Pretty soon it'll be 10 by 10.
Pretty soon we'll get to 50.
Actually, you know what? We should try to get another episode in maybe Saturday or Sunday. Gucci TV, Jake Hibschman, the old Hunting Public, Ted.
Oh, yeah.
Those guys are all in town right now. That'd be something sweet to get on. Actually, I'll text him right now. Maybe we can plan something out.
Yeah, that'd be dope.
Oh, let me send this quick.
Let me look at my phone like I'm sending something. Yeah, I don't know what it was though. There was something that like some big company like went down for a certain amount of time. It was like 10 minutes or something.
Why was it so big? Like, people
I
just couldn't get their orders in, or like
something.
Was it the AAR release? Website went down. Did you get anything from that release?
Did you? I was gonna
I
get
did.
What'd you
I got
get?
2 shirts and a hat. I haven't got anything for a while.
What hat did you get? The flag hat with the Axe and Sledge logo in the middle?
No, I was going to get that one. It was between that one.
Did you get the titties hat?
No, that was sold out. That was like one of the only things sold out. I got on there a little late. It was like 10 o'clock last night when I went on and looked. Fuck, I don't even remember what hat I got. I was so interested in the shirts. I got the Work Fucking Harder shirt and Just Work shirt. And then my hat, I think it said, oh no, it just says Roughneck. I'm like, my hunting public hats are all getting worn down. My Ducks hunting hat's getting worn down, like the patches are. But then I have a nice hunting public hat that I don't like wearing to work and stuff because it's got white and stuff on it. But then I wear this AAR hat all the time, which I love this hat, like the colors and stuff of this one. But the other one is black, so I'm like, I don't have to worry about it really getting dirty and shit.
Yeah, I was gonna get the shorts, but then they were like $35, and I'm like, I like them. But
I'm waiting for the frickin' T-shirt thing.
That was supposed to be this one.
That's what I thought.
Summer release, he was saying he was gonna do it.
We better get on them. That's all. I gotta buy another shirt too. Gucci TV. Gooch just got out a bunch of shirts, so he's in town with some of them. So I'm like, oh, better get me one of them.
I've never met him.
Support the man. You'd like him. He's a kind-hearted fella. He actually, so he was interning with Jake and those guys for the hunting public. But his main goal was just to learn the video editing and all that, and then start a waterfowl channel. He just loves doing waterfowl hunting. He's from Missouri. He is, I think he might have just turned 21, or he's a younger guy. And dude, it was like a super awesome opportunity to intern with the hunting public, but he started his channel this last fall, and he's already at like a couple thousand subscribers.
Really?
Yeah, and his videos are pretty good. It's awesome to see that too. So Gooch, congratulations. Keep that shit up. It's really cool to see. And he's consistent about it. Like he keeps offering content, different kind of content. Like obviously you can't be hunting waterfowl right now. Like, yeah, you kind of got a little experience on the waterfowl.
Yeah,
living the life. It's fall.
I like that. Yeah.
Yeah. Jay I literally just saw a comment on the last video the Halloween hunt where we just hammered him.
Yeah.
You came with. And get in the blind. And he's wearing like size 13 boots and he's got a size 10 foot. And
no, dude, I got a size 8 foot.
So he's wearing boots that are twice the size.
I got small feet.
And I'm like, get in the blind. Like these birds are working us, and he starts running. He leaves the boot out there.
And we were breaking ice.
Yeah, it was cold. So I think, what'd you do? Take your socks off.
Yeah, and then I had a winter hat,
yep.
and I put my winter hat as a sock.
You guys can actually check out that video. It's the Halloween hunt. It's on our YouTube channel. Same thing you'd go to watch these ones. I think that's a 920 Waterfowl is the YouTube channel. I was thinking about changing the name up of that. I started the channel with the intentions to do like a lot of hunting vlogs, but I'm more into I'm not so much into like the recording of the hunting, and plus I don't have any good camera stuff, and I don't really want to get into buying a ton of filming stuff for that, because I'm not so much into recording the hunts as I am into the camaraderie and just working the birds and like helping. Like I love bringing new people to the sport and like working my dog. Like that's my passion towards it. So Yeah, the video, doing like the videos of it, that is a whole job in itself, and to do all the other parts of the hunt would kind of take away from what I am passionate about towards it. So, yeah, that might sounds like an excuse, but if you're actually out there and you've experienced it, you'd kind of get what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Like, there's so much to it. There's so much to it that you really kind of got to do like the one or the other type thing. There's a reason people have somebody with them recording when they're out doing all the work to get the hunt done. To have a good, successful hunt, it takes a lot of time and a lot of planning. And if you don't plan, sometimes you just get lucky, but 9 times out of 10, it's a lot of planning, and the birds just fall into place, you know. But yeah, you got a little taste of that this year.
Mm-hmm.
It was cool. Like, Jay's like, I'll just record you guys. So yeah, that's what I was gonna get at. Is he was recording us with his iPhone, and somebody commented on the video today. They're like, your audio sucks ass. I just replied, I'm like, that's the power of the iPhone, baby. Like, yeah, what do you want from us? Like, it was a good hunt. There's like actually some decent footage for just being an iPhone, but it was really just to kind of capture the memory, not to be a freaking cinematic production. But
Yeah.
like I said, I think that stuff is cool. It turns out really cool when people do that, but that's not what we're like into for it. I mean, I would love if somebody came along and did that. Like, we did have I think you can actually, that's on the Hunting Public. We did a goose hunt. It was a 8-man before the sun came up, like 20 minutes, early season. You can look that up on the Hunting Public channel. But that was like something cool to see, like Gooch and Jake recorded, and like it had like that cinematic feel to it, and like it was really cool because it like captures the memory of all of it, and you can like I can play that hunt over and over in my mind, and then just pull it up on there, and like it just like brings you right back to what you're doing, like just the enjoyment with all the guys, like it's just you're just bullshitting the whole time, and it's just so fun versus like I never really got into deer hunting where people just sit in the stand and like, I mean. Me to dive into people's like passions, like yeah, I'll show like interest in it with you when you're talking about it and stuff, and like I want to know about it and like how you feel, and like it was awesome for you, so it's awesome for me, but like it's not my thing.
And ducks are just like a pretty animal.
Dude, I can remember like the first couple of ducks we shot, Jay's kind of just like holding it in his lap, like kind of like petting it. He's like,
I wasn't petting.
You're like, dude, look at the feathers on these things. And it is like, they got like these fluorescent different colors. And I'm like, and I loved it because I'm just like, it was awesome to see him light up about it. And then because I'm so passionate about it, where it was cool to see him kind of like, he had that glow, like, dang, like this is what it's about. And like that, it is like, you harvest the birds and we'll take them back. We'll cook them up right away. Like we'll all hang out, and like it's not just the hunt. Like it's all of that. Like you're feeding yourselves, and there's so much enjoyment out of it besides just the hunt itself. And like like you said, like the birds are just super pretty, and then watching them work, like if you can get them just to be working you, and then all of a sudden they're flying away, and you can like hit the call just right, and then you can just kind of convince them to pull in, and then you just got them on that like line, and then they just set right into your spread. And when they lock up, like that is just the sweetest, dude. Oh, I love that. Like I could take that and not shoot any of them, and it would just be awesome. Like I like calling them, and when they work good, it's awesome. Yeah, if you guys are interested in that, check out the Hunting Public. They got the goose hunt, and then you can check out our channel for some of that. And check out Gucci TV. He's going to be going balls to the walls this year doing it. He did a great job last year with it, but I am sure like he's just getting better and better with the camera, and the better he gets, the better those videos are going to get. So it's going to be a pretty sweet season to see. Like, yeah, hopefully those guys come on. That'd be freaking awesome.
Yeah, that's coming up already. A
Mm-hmm.
couple months.
September, dude. Literally 2 months. All right, I gotta take a piss. You can either bullshit?
No, I'm not good at
All right,
that.
just pause it. Good to go?
Yeah.
We had some issues before. This is the second time that we've actually started the episode because the first time we were about 5 minutes in and we had an error recording, so we started over.
Yeah, it just stopped.
Yeah, so we were just telling our buddy about how we had issues and you worked through the issues and all of a sudden, boom, we get a freaking issue.
Luckily, it wasn't like...
Don't even say it.
All right. Yeah.
I guess I didn't really give any feedback or background into like what the hunting public is. So, and we're kind of talking about going after opportunities when they arise. So one of our buddies that we grew up with, Jake, he went out to Iowa to do an internship with Midwest Whitetail, and this was like 4 or 5 years ago now. Might even be longer. Anyways, he went out there, and the guys that he went out there with decided that they wanted to leave Midwest and do their own thing. So they were living in this old like rental, and one of the guys was married and living with his wife. So I think it was just 3 of them or 4 of them at the time. It was Greg, Zach, Aaron, and Jake as the intern, and they started The Hunting Public, which is tailored to people, the public, who hunt. It's not just hunting public land, but that's what they do a ton of. Like a lot, 99% of their videos are going out, scouting public land, and then chasing whitetail. So these guys decided they wanted to go out, start their own thing, and I mean, it was so raw, like basically living out of tents, just traveling to different spots like Iowa, Missouri, Alabama, different state, Nebraska, just out of their freaking beat up old ass cars, just living in tents, living in the car, plugging their shit in like at little RV parks and stuff to charge their batteries and like all their camera gear, sitting down in pavilions at parks and just editing videos and then putting them out, like just putting tons and tons of content out. And they just started blowing up, dude. I think after like year 1 or 2, like we were looking at, it was like you're kind of looking at their subscribers because it was like their YouTube account, right? You got to get so many before like you're kind of like making money off that. But then there's like your Amazon affiliate links and like other companies that are like offering you to sell products and things like that. But their biggest thing is not putting all these ads out like all the other hunting pages do. All these big time channels where it's all 25 minutes of ads and 5 minutes of hunting, and most of the time they're on a game farm or whatever. So these guys are just raw out in the freaking woods, like explaining all their tactics to people, like wind bumps, how to set stands, like how to tell where deer are traveling, like where they're gonna bed, and like what they're eating, all the freaking details into like to like the minuscule amounts of like what this deer is going to do. And basically they would like tell you their plan, and this wild animal that they're chasing, a smart fucking mature whitetail, and
execute it.
And they would execute it, dude. And it was just freaking awesome to watch, and it just started blowing up. And it's so cool to see now because I would say they are one of the biggest hunting pages now. Like, and there's still, you'll run into like people that have been hunting and like they watch all the online stuff and they've been doing it for 20 years. They don't know who they are yet. Dude, I cannot imagine where they're going to be in another 5 years. It's freaking awesome. Like they're finally doing well. Like they're not struggling to get by and stuff. Like they have nicer things now, and people are like, "Oh, I miss when you guys would drive beat up cars and shit." And it's like, dude, like that's like one thing, but it's like you got to understand like these guys need to get from A to B to C to record, to do this shit, to get back home. Like they can't have this, like one, they got the financial stress of paying for their hunting stuff, their tags, all like their food, like
yeah, but
they can't struggle just to drive a vehicle. Like they were mad when they bought like a newer vehicle, not like a brand new truck, but they bought
but that's like that's like when you say that a band sold out, you know, like you guys are sellouts because your
they
old
work
stuff
from
is
their
so,
fucking
you know,
garage to get to, you know, like
it's like, well,
they were beating on
if
drums and shitting.
If they keep doing their shitty cars and they're living out of their tents, it's not going to be the same vibe because they know they don't have to do it now.
Yeah.
Where they had that good vibe in the beginning doing that because they knew they had to do it and they had that goal and that vision.
Yeah, but their content is still like down to earth, like true to exactly what they're doing. Like none of that has varied. It's just the fact that they don't have like the shittiest equipment now, but it's like I think it's just super awesome to see. So if any of you guys listen to this, congratulations to you guys for doing what you're doing. I wish you guys the best of luck, and I hope it continues to keep on growing. Like they are becoming their own brand, and it's super awesome. Like, and fuck anybody who is hating on that for them to go out and grow that shit. Like, I know there are people around here that talk shit about that, and it's like, fuck you. Like, because they're out making a name for themselves, and everybody out here is these big hunters, and they know what's good and what's right, and, oh, that's because they got the best land and blah, blah, blah. No, fuck you, dude. Like, I think it is super awesome to see that those guys are turning it into something as big as it is. Who you texting over there, your girlfriend?
No, I don't have a girlfriend. No. Let me pause this for a second.
All right, I don't know where we just left off, but I just got off the phone with Jake too. He said I would love to come on for an episode or whatever, so I'm sure him and Gooch would freaking join us.
Sunday,
if we could do
maybe.
it Sunday, that's what I was just thinking. I got to do a bid. The guy wants us to do his roof, so I got to go over there Sunday afternoon. But right after that, dude, I'd be 100% down to get on and do that. I'll see him tomorrow, so I'll plan some shit out with him and get her down, dude. Pretty sure.
What were we talking about before?
I don't know. This is a good transition because we have no other choice but to transition. It's like you pause it for like 1 second. And people are like, "How do you forget what you're talking about?" Because we were just talking for 5 minutes when it was on pause.
I had to show Matt.
That's the way of the road, bubs.
Yeah.
The way of the road. Yeah. No. That's we've had like people interested in coming on, but it is nerve-wracking, I think, to, like, we were nervous as shit to do it the first couple of times we did this. Like, we're like, oh, it feels so weird. Like, but really, like, we're just talking to each other, you know? Like, I think, like, the person that we are, interested in having on is nervous to come on in a way. They're not going to say that. They want to. Like, they're... very interested in coming on, but I know there are like nerves as well inside them where they're like, I don't know if it's the right thing to do. Like, dude, it's putting yourself in that uncomfortable situation that's going to help you make those changes.
Because then you're like, well, do I have anything positive to bring to this? Or like, do I have like the knowledge of something? And it's like, dude, I'm the biggest fucking idiot there is on this podcast. Every single one, I guarantee it,
dude. But like, everybody has something to offer.
Yeah.
And for you to just tell yourself that you have nothing to offer, like, you're selling yourself short. You have something to offer. Like, everybody has their own interest in different things. We might learn something from somebody that we never even thought of, or just you didn't even know it was a thing until they came on and started talking about something. And then all of a sudden, like the other day, me and Jay did the episode, and I started talking to him about sociopaths and how common it is that...
We didn't do that on here, though.
We didn't do it on here, but I'm saying the other day after the recording or whatever, we were talking about that. And you're looking at me like, no. And I'm like, it's more common than you think. And like, we were trying to look up the percentages of it and like what a sociopath really entails. And he's like, I think I know a couple of them. I'm like, it is like much more common than you think. Like, it's like one of those things where all of a sudden then you were just diving into it. You spent your whole day Sunday just watching YouTube videos, Googling it. Like, what the hell?
I've always heard of like psychopaths and sociopaths, but I just thought that was just like a slang term for like a crazy person.
Yeah.
I didn't know there was actually like.
It's a personality. Like, that is like who people are. And I guess I haven't really, well, I know there are like certain life events that lead somebody down into like that path, but I don't really know 100% how they are formed into that way of thinking and that how they actually develop that personality. But that'd be something cool that we like if we both kept diving into, and then we just brought that on and talked about that. Like, be something cool to really go dive into 20 minutes of talking about that. Because I think there's a lot of people out there that would be like, that's why this person acts like this. I think we got onto that topic because I was telling you how, like, when you meet new people or people are becoming your friends or they've been your friends for so many years, but then we might have talked about how there's like a give and take in relationships, right? That we talked about, I think, on the podcast.
The way I remember it happening was I was kind of zoning off, like I do sometimes.
Wait, what were we talking about?
A little tuned up, and then you just kind of zone off a little bit, and then all of a sudden you're like, yeah, dude, and he's a fucking sociopath. I think he's a real sociopath. And I'm like,
what is that?
I'm like, what are you talking about? Like, why would you say that about somebody? And you're like, no, dude, that's a real thing. And like, you're telling me all this shit, and then like, that it's like a real trait that like people have. Like, and I'm like, and you're telling me about it, and I was just like,
I remember,
yeah,
I know. Like, you're just like, what? And then you'd ask me another question. Well, how can you tell? And I'm like, look, like I don't.
You can't tell, dude.
Yeah,
you can't tell. There's no like physical trait besides they start fucking you over, and then you know that like they're doing X, Y, Z. That's a trait of a sociopath.
So like that's how you like when you are friends with somebody and like you're like, why do they always do this, or like why do they do like certain things, and like it's their personality. But when it's like there's a lot of different things that can entail like why a person is a sociopath, but which that's why like maybe we should dive into this on another episode. We won't do it now. Like eventually you gotta get going, but I was like how you like I analyze the shit out of people, and it's not to be judgmental. I'm not judging them. I'm just literally trying to figure out who they are. And you were like kind of like feeling weird. You're like, whoa, are you are you analyzing me and stuff?
Yeah, because you were telling me that, and then I'm like, dude, am I a sociopath?
I'm like, well, there's a reason I still hang around you. Like you have good traits. Like you do offer good things to like the friendship. It's not just a one-sided.
But you are a sociopath.
Yeah, but you are fucked in the head. No, no, like. I don't know. It's just something that everybody should be aware of. It's not that you're analyzing them so you can take advantage of them or to degrade them or like be negative towards them. But a sociopath will analyze somebody so they can use the stuff against them.
And they don't feel like any remorse.
Yeah,
there's no conscience there.
So they'll
just
find
a black hole.
Yep, they'll find all that dirt on you, and then they'll use that against you for their own benefit. Yeah, that's what we'll do an episode on that. I'll go into like different personality disorders, and then I'll label. So like there's in the psychology world, like psychiatrist, psychologist. So it's the main difference between a psychiatrist and a psychologist. The psychiatrist will go to medicine right away, like using medication they can prescribe medication to help. Where a psychologist will kind of like use coping mechanisms and really kind of help you like walk through your steps and give you different ways to analyze like why you're acting certain ways or how to change your actions. I believe that there should be like people with mental health problems should see both a psychologist and then a psychiatrist. Like they should work together hand in hand, a psychologist and a psychiatrist. Mm-hmm. Where like the Western medicine type is just give you the medicine and boom. Like when I think of psychology, I think of more like a Chinese traditional type, where, you know what that is? So like that's like how they use like acupuncture or herbal essences, like things like that.
Laying on a bed of nails.
Yeah, like things like that. But there is scientific evidence that it can, like things like that can be beneficial. So I think what people should do is go to a psychologist, learn like different coping mechanisms, like do that for a while, and then the psychologist should work with the psychiatrist to give them medicine. So like if you're like serotonin or dopamine receptors and like cortisol, like all that's not working right, then they should give you medicine to help with it. But you should also learn the coping mechanism. Like if you have anxiety, like this is one thing that pisses me off. Like everybody has anxiety. Like everybody has it. Like some people have severe cases of it, but it's because they don't, like 9 times out of 10, they just don't know how to cope with it. Right? So then they're taking medicine and it's just like giving you this blah feeling. Like it's just shutting you down so you don't have them freaking spikes and like, you know what I'm getting at? I think that is where it's like shitty, where we just turn to the medicine right away. It's like, no, especially with young kids. Like, why are we giving them medicine? We should be teaching these kids how to deal with these stressors.
Yeah, right.
Like, I know a ton of people that are on anxiety medication who are taking, what's the drug that I'm thinking of? Google that quick. Can you do that on there? Or can I look it on my phone?
I'll look on my phone.
We got to keep this point going.
Anti-anxiety medicine?
Yeah, it's like the number one. Man, what is it?
Rexulti?
No. Well, they're benzos is what it is, but dude. Xanax.
Oh, Xanax.
So you got these freaking, dude, I went to school with so many people that were on Xanax because they had anxiety. You ever fucking take I guess I won't really get into that, but people literally take Xanax to just go out and party and like black the fuck out. Basically just like lose your sense of emotions and shit.
Yeah.
It's like, why are we giving these people these benzos that are just like shutting them down? We should be teaching them to deal with these stressors. That's a whole nother freaking subject that we could really get into. We should do one. We're going to do one of those episodes once. So anyway, what I was getting at is in psychology, they use it's called, there's different, not chapters, but editions. So like the DSM-3, 4, like those are outdated. So now they use the DSM-5. Like that's the new up-to-date code that psychologists and psychiatrists will use to diagnose somebody. So like, we'll use an example. We'll use anxiety as an example. We'll see if it comes up. You usually have to get the frickin'... All right, so then there's a criteria that you have to meet. So generalized anxiety disorder. So excessive anxiety and worry occurring more days than not for at least 6 months. So you get what that is? Like you have to have anxiety for more than 50% of those days.
Yeah.
The individual finds it difficult to control the worry. The anxiety and worry are associated with 3 or more. So now, like, if you wanted to go get prescribed Xanax, you could just say you had anxiety, and you had to have at least 3 of these 6 symptoms. Muscle tension, irritability, being easily fatigued, restless, difficulty concentrating or mind going blank, and sleep disturbance. How many times do you have those anyways?
Yeah.
Like, that's what
Just because you don't know how to, like, cope with it.
You could just, like, there's some like disorders where it's like you have that shit every day, but it's literally part of life. You don't go in there and get you don't get
to turn into a zombie.
Yeah, like that's where I think where like the Western medicine where like there's a pill for everything. That is just it's so shitty.
Yeah.
It like having different stressors, and there are times in your life where like every single day you're gonna feel stressed. Mm-hmm. Like if you're at a job that you don't like, or you're around people that you hate, like you can't stand, you're living in bad conditions, like you're financially struggling, you're gonna have multiple things. Like you're not gonna be able to sleep. You're gonna be your mind. If you don't get good sleep, you can't focus on shit. Your mind's wandering all the time. You're feeling stressed. Like just sleep alone can fuck up 5 of those things. Like that's where that's one reason I think when I was going to school where I'm like, I can't do this. Like, I can't just be like telling these people that they're fucked up when like these are things that just are part of life. To me, that's how I see it.
Like what Andy says
but
about
it's not
stress.
what Western medicine is.
You listen to that podcast? I don't know which one it was. I think it was the one with Tim Grover, actually. But Andy says, you don't want to feel stress in your life. He goes, well, guess what? If you ain't having stress in your life, it means you ain't fucking doing anything. And he's like going off on it. It's like, it's so fucking true. Like,
dude,
if you don't have like some sort of stress or anxiety, you know, it's
that's
like,
what I'm saying. Like,
you're not doing anything.
For 6 months, if you're starting a business, you think that you're not going to be stressed out at least half of those days?
That means you're not taking risk. That means you're not like
you're sitting in that comfort zone. Like
that's exactly what we're talking about.
Yeah, so like that's why I think it is wild when you look at these disorders and then you're like it is against the norm to like do these kinds of like maybe that's what it is. So like I actually had a class. It's called Abnormal Psych, and then one of the first days we talked about what's abnormal. So what's normal, what's abnormal. Like me leaving that comfortable position of being in a good career, like that guy like could be there forever, have a good pension, good health. Like me leaving that's abnormal. Like you're going against what like the society is. So
but then that goes back to what we talk about where society glorifies mediocrity because those people that are at the top that
the 1%,
the 1%, the
1% of the 1%,
they're gonna push that because they need you to do. They need you.
They need workers.
They need you comfortable and just like
to just be okay with getting by because that's what really is like Bezos. Like you look at like people talk so much shit about like how the working conditions are there. Like, dude, he grew that with people that were okay with just having a job, being there, like showing up every day. They hated it, but they didn't make any fucking changes, and that's what they're doing. But they're growing his empire for him. Like,
do you hear what Bezos? Not to change the subject, but
go ahead. I mean, we probably could switch off this because I could rip into it. But
do you hear Bezos with his clock he wants to make? He's gonna make a clock in the side of a mountain, and it's gonna go for like 10,000 years or something like that.
Yeah. I think Rogan talked about that on his, but when I was in another class, a leadership class, and I used him as one of my like examples of like studying like good leaders, and the teacher was like, "Oh, really? Like, there's a lot of negative press towards him and stuff." But I'm like, "Look what he fucking grew!
Yeah.
Like, he's doing something right." Like, I was talking to John, like, you kind of do have to be an ass at times, like, when you are trying to grow something that big, but like that was his goal, like to get to like where he is, you know. But
I read
there. I mean, there are some things where like
1 out of 5 CEOs are a sociopath.
I like have that character, like personality. I can see that.
You know what else was crazy? I read is that like a sociopath, a psychopath, and a narcissist. How those are all three connected. Like a psychopath is also a sociopath and is also a narcissist.
But you can be a narcissist and not be a psychopath.
But if you're a narcissist, you're not a sociopath or a psychopath. But if you're
you have to if you're a sociopath, you have to have narcissistic personality. Yep.
And if you're a psychopath, you have to have narcissistic traits and sociopathic traits.
Yep.
So there's like that pyramid.
Dude, but now you see why I was so interested in all that. Like, in my biggest thing was like personal development, leadership. Like I love being able to help people and like kind of lead them down like a positive path. You don't have to be a fucking CEO or own your own business or like you can go work in a career and like if you're happy with that, that's fine with me. But my biggest thing is just to get people to like really be happy about what they're doing and like even if they're not like happy about it all the time, at least they're aware. They're aware of it and they're aware that they're the ones that determine like how they're feeling. Like I read a quote when actually I think I heard this quote when I was at a Advocare convention. So that's kind of one of the ways I got started on the whole personal development was from like a teacher of mine who was a mentor of mine. But one of the guys said, you can't change. how people act, but you can change how you react. And like that's stuck with me since I was 18. Like when people do shit to you, you can't change their actions, but you can change how that affects you and how you react to it. Like, and that, dude, that I think just that alone can get you through so much shit that happens and comes your way. Like, I guess I'm just using like me leaving work as an example because it's fresh in my mind. It just happened. Like I don't want to keep on talking about that, but it is like it's just my reality right now. I'm gonna get so much shit for that, but I am just like that's one reason that I'm not gonna give one fuck. Like I don't care. Like I'm the one that determines how I react to it. Like I don't have to let that bother me. And I'm not gonna let it bother me. If it does bother me, it's gonna be for my benefit, not to like hurt me or pull me down.
Right.
You probably want to get going.
Yeah.
What are we at here? Pretty. I think
101.
Yeah, we got an hour. That's all right.
I want to. The next week or whatever, when we don't have nothing going, we got to do a psychology podcast.
We'll do one, and we'll take, before we do it, we could write this down. We'll take personality quizzes, and then we'll like analyze each one of our personality quizzes. Hopefully we have a guest on or two. Like that'd be sweet too, just to get like more variety in the whole thing. Then we'll just go through each one. I think that'll take an hour itself just to dive into each person. And then, because if we do it with people that we really know too, we'll be able to like point out the traits and be like, I can remember this, this, and this. Like, or how do you think you became that person? And a lot of it is the parents, like who you grew up around, like your grandparents, your family, like how you were raised. Like a lot of that, the first 6 years of your life, you're a fucking sponge. So like, I think it'll be cool to like analyze that and like talk to people about, you know, what do you think happened the first few years of your life that really kind of led you to where you are now. But that's not permanent too. So if you guys don't use that as an excuse or play the victim card of, well, I grew up around an alcoholic dad or my mom and dad were on drugs, they weren't around, like to a certain extent that will fuck you up. I grew up with tons of like different kids that came through our house and siblings through foster care that have all had fucked up backgrounds and fucked up parents. And I can tell you that some made the right decisions and some let that lead them down a path of destruction. And some are working on changing that the way it is. Like, but that goes back to my parents, like not playing the victim card. Like my dad does not, like he's not about that. And it's up to you after, I don't know, like when you're 18 and you got your own freedoms, like that's definitely one turning point that you can right there, like no more excuses after that. Like you're out on your own, that's up to you to make those changes. Anything else? I'll close it out.
No, I don't have nothing.
All right, well, I think that's a solid ending. So don't play the victim card and maybe go try a personality test yourself. There are some pretty reliable ones. I can put some of them in the links when I put them up on Facebook and YouTube. Go try them out and see what changes you need to make. Like, you know what you need to do to change yourself for the better. And I'm sure you've had feedback from people around you that have told you, you know, you're being an ass about this, or, you know, you're destructive towards your own, like, I know a few people that are destructive towards relationships, especially when it becomes with a significant other. So use that for the better. Anyways, you guys can check us out on 6 different platforms. The most common ones we use are YouTube, Spotify, and Apple Podcast.
Follow us on Instagram.
Our YouTube is 920 Waterfall. Our Spotify and Apple Music are Don't Want to Hear, and I believe our Instagram is Don't Want to Hear. We got a new logo. It says it right on there. Like, it'll pop up. You can't miss it. Anyways, guys, thanks for sticking around for this one. Share it with a friend or coworker, whatever it is. I mean, if you enjoy it, don't be afraid to tell somebody that it's made a difference for you. And you know, if you think you can help somebody else, just share it. If you want to get on, send us a DM or send us a text or Snapchat. We've had a few of them, so it'll be interesting to see who's on the next couple episodes. Peace.